I was playing Far Cry Primal the other day, the mission Vision of Ice, where the shaman gives you some eyeballs to drink and you start hallucinating. God, reminds me of 3 for £5 Jaeger bombs at the local pub's karaoke night.
Oh my god!
Anyway, I was on the hunt for something called the Stone Woman statue. There it is. It's based on one of the most famous pieces of prehistoric art in the world. Hang on, let me just fix that for the YouTube censor. Although the Stone Woman statue, as it's known in Far Cry Primal, is made of stone, is clearly a woman, it's not actually a statue. And that last point is important, as I'll explain. There's way more to this famous, provocative piece of art than Far Cry Primal had us believe. Let's dive in. The Stone Woman statue's real-life counterpart is called the Venus of Willendorf. It's an 11cm tall carved piece of Oolitic limestone. It depicts a voluptuous naked woman with her hands resting on her breasts, and what's thought to be a shell cap or plaited hair on her head. It was discovered in 1908 near the village of Willendorf in Austria, and it's about 25,000 years old, and in terms of art, that's really old. Even in the world of Far Cry Primal, it would already be a 13,000-year-old antique. Its age is part of the reason it's so renowned. It's one of the earliest depictions in sculpture of the human form, something that shows the intelligence and skill of our ancestors, as well as their capacity to think abstractly about art. In terms of cognitive evolution, it's pretty flippin' advanced. An object that symbolises something more than just the lump of Oolitic limestone that it's made from. What it actually represented to its creator, we'll never know. Is it a form of prehistoric pornography? Or maybe it's the Palaeolithic equivalent of Burt Reynold's famous 1972 centrefold for Cosmo. The mind boggles. Part of the problem with interpretation is that, as ever, our modern view of the world colours our thoughts about the past, and that's definitely true with the Venus of Willendorf. It's one of a whole group of figurines known collectively as Venus Figurines, found all over Europe, mostly dating to the end of the Old Stone Age. They're called Venus Figurines after the Roman goddess Venus, but seeing as that Venus was invented tens of thousands of years after this Venus, why are they even called that at all? Because of this bloke, a French aristocrat called Paul Hérault. Here he is with his dog. He discovered this figurine in the 1860s and called it the Immodest Venus, to contrast it with the Modest Venus from classical and Roman art, i.e. this Venus was better at covering herself up. Although this name is basically a joke, it stuck. And so these sculptures came to be known as Venus figurines. The problem with that is that the attributes of the Roman goddess Venus came to be associated with the much older prehistoric art. Basically, that this represents a goddess in a kind of classical world religious way. Okay, that was a lot of exposition, but this is where Far Cry Primal comes back in with a great example of what I was just talking about. Notice how the Udam are kind of worshipping the figurine that's sitting upright on a stone altar. It looks a bit like a very small version of a Roman statue. Okay, now I know I'm nitpicking at this point, and in the game this is an eyeball-induced hallucination, and no one needs one of those. But this is almost certainly the wrong way to think about this object, because if you look at the bottom of the figurine, the other bottom, it doesn't have and never had any feet, so it was never designed to be standing upright. It's not a mini statue. And it doesn't make any sense as a statue because it's so small. Instead, it fits very snugly in the palm of a hand, especially if you have big hands. It's more likely that it was designed to be carried around. Perhaps the best way to think about it is as a totem or a charm rather than a goddess. Something to take with you to bring you luck, rather than to be worshipped at an altar. And one theory is that, for obvious reasons, it's to help with fertility and conceiving.
Matron, take them away!
So bearing all of that in mind, I had the idea that in the game, maybe it should actually have been an inventory item that buffs your fertility stat. It could even be DLC! Actually, let's not give them ideas. But then I thought, fair enough. Ubisoft probably didn't want to put that kind of sexual content in its wait. But there is one further point to be made. In the world of prehistoric art, there are two categories. Portable art, like the Venus of Willendorf, and non-portable, also called parietal art, basically cave art. As a cursory Google search will tell you, cave art is way more famous than portable art. Far Cry Primal has a load of it throughout the game. But there are over 10,000 pieces of prehistoric portable art that have been discovered, comprising a whole range of different material types, shapes and sizes. Some of it is really gorgeous. And in my opinion, it's this wonderful and forgotten world of prehistoric portable art that Far Cry Primal, by including a version of the Venus of Willendorf, should have explored a bit better. Now I can finally complete this mission, which is good, because I've got somewhere I need to be this evening.